month certification roundup. And as you probably would be aware from all the publications that's been going out on our social media posts and also MailChimp, the monthly certification roundup meetings are for all of those who are undertaking the ASIS International Board certifications, regardless if it's APP, CPP, PCI, regardless, it's for everyone. Now, just to keep in mind, these are internationally recognized certifications, and there are a number of people that might have some questions about what they entail and who the target audience is, the kind of roles or opportunities that might be made available to you if you hold one of these certifications. So this is the place to be if you want to know A, what the certifications are, and B, what opportunities those certifications will give you. So our monthly certification roundup meetings take place on the last Thursday of every month at 12 p.m. via Zoom. Now, these are not study group sessions. In fact, for people that are actually undertaking study independently, for people that are just interested, as I mentioned previously, for workplace mentors, people that are kind of coaching one-on-one, helping some of these staff go through the certifications, for study group leaders, such as in Auckland and in Wellington, this is the place to be once a month, so we can all talk, give each other updates, share resources, and just give support. For people that just want to know what a CPP stands for, please feel free to jump in. 12 o'clock last Thursday of every month. So I'll just quickly go through what the certifications are for ASIS International, and then what we can do to support on a more local level as part of Region 15A, including our one and only chapter that's in this region, which is ASIS New Zealand. So let's just go through quickly what the certifications are. Now, one of these certifications, and it's often referred to as the gold star, is the Certified Protection Professional. Now, it is considered the gold standard, the gold star, but please keep in mind, we do have a number of other certifications that are more kind of niche specialist areas. Now, the CPP, the Certified Protection Professional, does cover a range of domains, and is definitely something that a lot of independent security consultants, upper management kind of chase after. Now, we can't go through the detail of every single certification at the moment, but if you are interested, I can email you through the certification handbook, which does cover quite a bit of information, such as what the certifications entail, the kind of areas, the domains, the subject areas, but also eligibility criteria, etc. So CPP, this is usually what a number of people who just want to push up in the industry and get pretty much the epitome of what ASIS certifications kind of hold, and this tends to be the more popular one, CPP. Now, there is strict eligibility criteria to even sit the CPP exam, the CPP certification. And sometimes meeting the eligibility criteria for that isn't possible for certain people, depending on your length of experience in the industry and the kind of role that you play within industry. If you do struggle with the eligibility criteria for the CPP, then the APP, which is the Associate Protection Professional, may be a certification that's more appropriate to you. If you obtain the APP, you are definitely then eligible to obtain and complete the CPP. Now, the APP, think of it as a stepping stone towards the CPP. It's kind of the halfway mark, you know, kind of half the study that you need to complete to get the CPP. However, that's just loosely phrased. The Associate Protection Professional is just the first rung in that stepping stone in that ladder. And if you then do decide to carry on and complete your CPP, because obviously getting this certification, the APP, would make the eligibility criteria easier for you to meet. Once you achieve the CPP, you lose the APP. So it isn't possible to hold the Associate Protection Professional certification and the Certified Protection Professional certification. It's either one or the other. However, most people, if they didn't meet the Certified Protection Professional eligibility criteria, they do take on the Associate Protection Professional. They hold that certification, so you get APP after your name. And then if you carry on to sit the CPP, You'll lose the APP, but that's okay because you'll hold the CPP certification and you would have met the eligibility criteria to do so. Okay, so a little bit confusing, but please feel free, let me know in chat or just unmute your mic if you have any questions at all whatsoever. Now, one of the niche markets, one of the specialist areas that I referred to briefly earlier is the Professional Certified Investigator, otherwise known as the PCI. Now, as it says on the screen, the Professional Certified Investigator certification provides demonstrable proof of an individual's knowledge and experience in case management, evidence collection, and so forth. So experience in case management. So the eligibility criteria does require you to have at least 2 years experience in case management. The eligibility criteria is quite strict, as they are with a number of certifications. But remember, with CPP, you do have the opportunity to get your APP to make that eligibility criteria meet. So if this seems like something that you might be interested in, this is a rare certification to hold in New Zealand. And there is one person that I know in New Zealand that actually holds all of the certifications, PCI, which is Professional Certified Investigator, PSP, which we'll talk to all about shortly, and the CPP. Obviously, it doesn't hold APP because he holds CPP. So this particular certification, the specialist area, is quite a rare find in New Zealand. Okay, it's definitely something to be proud of. But again, refer to the eligibility criteria. Now, for those of you who are more interested in PSP or the physical security aspect of the industry, we have obviously the physical security professional certification. And as it says on the screen, it demonstrates your knowledge in physical security assessments, application, design, integration of physical security systems, implementation of security measures, etc., etc. And of course, there is, again, strict eligibility criteria. So again, this eligibility criteria that I keep referring to just makes you eligible to sit the exam. It doesn't stop you from obtaining the resources and getting familiar with the content, and that's absolutely fine, but it's just to make the eligibility criteria. You will not be able to sit the exam. Okay, so PSP, the physical security professional, and PCI that I just referred to earlier are what we call kind of niche areas, specialist fields. They're not better than the CPP. They're not below the CPP. They're just different. They're specialist areas. They may not be in the exam as robust as the CPP because the CPP covers a range of domains, but the PCI and the PSP are very much about specialist areas. So please keep that in mind. So just as a visual reference, you have the CPP in your top left. So that tends to be the gold standard. What a lot of people chase, it covers a range of different domains, about 7 or so domains. As a stepping stone to the CPP, you have the APP underneath, the Associate Protection Professional. But keep in mind, you might decide, hey, I've looked through the eligibility criteria for CPP. I met the eligibility criteria for the CPP. I'm not going to bother going for the APP. I'm just going to go straight to the CPP. Save your exam fees, save your study resource expenses, and just go straight to the CPP. So that might be something that you might decide. If PCI, the Professional Certified Investigator, is more your specialist area, that might be a certification you may be interested. Or physical security and its application design, if that tends to be your more niche area, then that's another certification you might be interested in. So please just have a think about kind of what certification best meets your needs. But there are a lot of, and I've heard this firsthand, and I can actually refer to the people that can attest to this, where a lot of positions, and I am talking about the New Zealand and Australia, have specifically stated a preference of having an ASIS board certification. If you are looking at perhaps getting the private investigator endorsement on your either security license, if that's what you hold, or certificate of approval, the PCI is one of the criteria that you can actually use to show proof of experience or proof of competency and get that certification, that classification, sorry, on your certificate of approval or your security license. CPP, that's also relevant as proof of competency with the PSPLA. If you're looking at getting, let's say, security consultant added on to your security license or certificate of approval. So even though these are ASIS international board certifications. They're definitely relevant to you in New Zealand and actually give you more opportunities worldwide as well. Now, this isn't to say that this replaces experience. As you might have picked up, eligibility criteria does actually ask you to meet certain thresholds of experience. So if anything, these certifications give you some formal recognition of the experience that you have, as well as the underpinning knowledge that you have in these particular areas. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Now, this is just the general process. Basically, if you're interested in any of these certifications, your first step is to download the certification handbook. And this handbook is free to download from the ASIS International website, or please reply to any of the MailChimp emails or notifications that have been sent through to you and just say, hey, Nairi, send me through the handbook and I'll be quite happy to do that for you. Now, the handbook again talks about all the different certifications, the eligibility criteria, and the type of domains it covers. Step 2 is assess your exam readiness. Just think to yourself, am I ready to actually sit the exam? Now, how would you know this? Well, we actually have a self-assessment document for you that you can actually download for free as well. Again, email me and I'll be quite happy to send it by email, which gives you an idea about, are you actually ready to sit the exam? Or if you believe that you already have the current competency to actually just bypass the study and go straight to sitting the exam, so paying the exam fee and actually sitting the exam, you might want to do a quick self-assessment first just to double check. Okay, so you download the handbook, you can have a look at the self-assessment, and the next step is you then acquire your study materials, and you can do this through the ASIS International website. Okay, or you can actually tap into your local network and see if we can actually share some study resources, but I'll talk to you about that shortly. So once you've actually downloaded the handbook, you've assessed your readiness, you've actually studied the materials required for that particular certification. Next, you submit your application to sit the exam, and this is done through ASIS International. This is where they double check your eligibility criteria. They collect an exam fee. And once you've been approved to sit the exam, they will then send you the information you need to book your exam with the Prometrics Testing Centre. And because of COVID, this can also be done online in your home. Normally, or usually pre-COVID, you'd have to, it's an online exam, but you'd normally need to schedule it in to visit Prometrics physically, a testing centre, and complete it that way. But now you can actually do it at home. But again, there are quite stringent protocols around that. So you do need to pay at various steps. So when you acquire your materials, you'll need to pay a fee for the actual books and reference study materials. When you actually officially apply to sit the exam, you'll need to pay a fee, and that's directly to ASIS International. Okay. You then take the exam and you will be notified of your results pretty much immediately. Okay. Now, in regards to pass rates and things like that, it is scaled. A lot of the questions, a lot of the answers, sorry, are actually scaled. So when you undertake the exam, there is a guide as to kind of what the pass rate is, but I won't mention it at this stage. But it is very much an intense exam. And the length, the duration, obviously depends on the certification that you're actually undertaking. The CPP is actually the longest, and PSP, APP, not so much. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, in regards to local ASIS New Zealand support, we have once a month again these meetings, and it's for anyone and everyone that's interested in the certification, currently studying by themselves, and they want to jump on a Thursday and just ask the group, hey, does anyone have this particular reference material or this standard guideline that perhaps I need? If you just want to vent, or if you're a study group leader and you just want to let other people know, hey team, if you're interested, jump on. We've got a Wellington study group happening, and you can just even virtually attend those study groups. We also have a free online review tool. And how you access this tool is by letting me know. I'll give you your details, and you can actually use this online review tool on your own, just to go through some significant notes, some PowerPoint presentations, some flashcards, and that's for each certification for APP, CPP, and PSP. Unfortunately, we do not have an online free review tool for PCI at the moment. Now, this online free review tool was developed and designed by the late great Michael Pepper, and ASIS New Zealand, we're currently hosted on Intuito, which is a platform similar to Moodle. And you can access this at any time and it's free. A lot of the study groups actually use this online review tool to kind of structure their study group sessions more. This online review tool also includes some quizzes as well, kind of test yourself to help prepare for the exam. They're not the examination questions, but it's to help you prepare and give you an understanding of what kind of domains you still need to touch up on and where what domains are quite strong in when it comes to your knowledge. So as you can see, there's a lot of support. Now, there is actually going to be a free CPP, so Certified Protection Professional, official ASIS International Curriculum program that we were hoping to kick off in March, but we might actually kick that off in April. And that entails 8 workshops. There is a compulsory requirement that you must meet the eligibility requirements for CPP, and you must have obtained the study material for CPP. Now, this virtual study program is for those that are actually studying independently or part of a study group, and they want to have a more structured approach. And just to check again what domains they're quite strong in. So it's 8 weeks or 8 weekly, it does commit you to 8 weeks. And we might do 1 session a week or 2 sessions a week just to make it a bit more digestible time-wise. But it's compulsory that you attend all 8 weeks, and it'll take place either in the evenings via Zoom or early mornings. And each session, whether it's once a week, that might be 2 hours. If it's twice a week, it'll be an hour each session. But 8 weeks has to be committed to, again, meet the eligibility criteria and have all the study resources available to you as well. So that's something else that will be advertised shortly, probably next month. Okay, so there is definitely a lot of support. So going from here, this is just what the online review tool that I mentioned earlier looks like. It actually guides you through kind of each domain, and this is just an example of what the PSP one is. I'll just quickly go back. So you've got the monthly certification roundup meetings, which is what we're doing at the moment. The informal study groups, we've got one happening in Auckland, one happening in Wellington. If you'd like to connect with either of those informal study groups, please let me know. We had Rehan Detroit, who was hosting the Auckland ones. So we'll touch base with them shortly and see if they've actually started up again for this year. And Johan, who's currently heading the Wellington study groups. But keep in mind, you don't actually need to be in those areas. You can actually attend each of those study groups. And again, people are just getting together, studying, sharing their stress, sharing resources, and they may also use the online review tool to kind of go through certain presentations of each domain and doing the quiz. The online review tool is what I just showed you briefly, and of course the study group program, which I mentioned as well. Now, the CPP online program is only for the CPP, unfortunately. You will be issued a workbook, you'll be required to actually register to undertake the program. But again, and I need to stress, it is compulsory that you commit to those 8 weeks. And by the end of the 8 weeks, you should be ready to hopefully then actually book your exam. But it's really important that you actually study and do all the required kind of tasks in between. Now, each year we have the formal certification dinner. This is just a shot of last year's dinner. Unfortunately, we don't see everyone else that's kind of behind the camera, but we do like to acknowledge those that have recently completed an ASIS and ASIS International certification, and give them a pounamu, because we have to make it unique to New Zealand. You know, this is the kind of New Zealand kaupapa, and we want that acknowledged as well. So of course you do get your certifications through ASIS International, but we do special acknowledgement through Region 15A, through ASIS New Zealand. Now, this year's formal certification dinner will be taking place, I believe, on the 27th of May, and it'll be in conjunction with the ASIS. You would have noticed in January there were call for nominations for this year's ASIS, and the ASIS are coming to New Zealand. So we'll be doing it in conjunction with that event as well. Now, the formal certification dinner isn't just for those who hold an ASIS certification. It's for also those who are currently undertaking study towards a certification. So you can kind of see what the light is at the end of the tunnel. It gives you a chance to network with those industry mentors, those who have held a certification for literally decades. And it kind of drives and motivates and inspires you. So we really do encourage those that are currently undertaking study or are interested to also come along to the certification dinner. It isn't just for those that have recently graduated or recently achieved a certification, but those that aspire to. The certification dinner is also for those who have held a certification for a number of years. It is a big achievement, not only to achieve a certification, but you are required to, every 3 years, recertify. That doesn't mean sit the exam again. What it does mean is that you have to prove over time each year that you hold the current knowledge and experience and relevancy to the security industry, which means you accrue certification points. That means attending webinars, that means writing articles perhaps, that means attending conferences and chapter meetings and security related events where it might be an educational kind of setting. When you undertake these tasks, you then, and you submit them to ASIS International, you then accrue certification points. Every 3 years, you might need a minimum of 60 recertification points for you to actually recertify. So that means someone that had their CPP, let's say since the 90s or the late 80s, every 3 years they had to recertify. So at least it gives you peace of mind if somebody has CPP or PCI or PSP after their name and they've had it for literally 20 something years, you can still have peace of mind that that qualification is still, or that recertification is still current and relevant to the current industry. Unfortunately, with the New Zealand qualifications framework at the moment, obviously once you achieve a qualification that you've achieved it, it stays on your record of achievement forever. So somebody might have achieved, let's say, a national diploma in security a number of years ago. There's no guarantee that the knowledge and skills that you would have used to achieve that qualification is still relevant and current today. However, for the ASIS certifications, there is a requirement to maintain that currency and relevancy by recertifying every 3 years and proving that you have those knowledge, current and relevant skills and experience in order to recertify. So that's something else that also needs to be acknowledged and celebrated. And therefore, those that have had their certifications for some time, we invite them to come to the certification dinner and celebrate their recertification, celebrate how long they've been in the industry holding that certification for. It's definitely something that to be admired. So that's enough from me. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. This session, as I mentioned, sorry, I may not have mentioned, it is being recorded, obviously. I think I did mention it, hopefully I did. And the recording will be posted on the ASIS members only pages of our New Zealand website. So not with ASIS International, but with ASIS New Zealand. So if you do log in to the ASIS New Zealand website, you'll notice on the left-hand side, you'll have additional menu options only available to you as a member. And part of that is meetings and notices. So make sure you click on that, scroll down to the March meetings, and you'll notice some recordings, you'll notice some areas where you can actually download minutes of chapter meetings. So this is where this recording will be posted, and that'll probably be early next week. So if there's no questions, I appreciate your time and I wish you well for the rest of the week. And don't forget, next month, same time, same place, if you know of anyone that's interested in the certifications or want to know where they can get information from, please invite them to just jump on the shared Zoom link that's sent out repeatedly every month, and also in reminders. Please connect with ASIS New Zealand on LinkedIn, on Facebook and on Instagram, as well as ASIS International. And from here, if you are interested in the certifications, please reply to MailChimp and I'll send you through the certification handbook and anything else that you're interested in. Thanks, team.